What's going on, everyone? Shay5969 here, and I got a very special guest in the house today, the one and only Mr. Jimmy Crow. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. And you, sir?
Very well, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit with me. Um, I got some questions for you here. Pick
Okay.
your brain about some stuff.
Okay. I've
Um,
got very little brain, but whatever you want to ask, go ahead.
Well, one thing I really like to do on my channel is I kind of like to tie back um, art and EDC stuff, right? So, one thing I wanted to ask you off the get go was do you consider yourself an artist, sir?
Absolutely not. I'm a hack. Uh, yeah, I really am. It's just, uh, no, a true artist could do things that I can't even dream about doing. And so, no, if something pops into my head, that's what I try to do. And I may sit and look at a knife for a day or two before I finally figure out what I'm going to do with it. But no, I am the farthest thing from an artist.
Okay, right on. I like to ask that to everybody, kind of, and see how they take it, right? Because
Mhm.
one thing I can relate to myself is growing up, I was always a musician, and I always really struggled with calling myself an artist, and that was one thing that I found very hard for myself as well. That I only really got comfortable now later in life, But I like to ask that because I like to see what people's perspective is on it, because some people look at it as oh, I can take something from nothing, that's artistry. But also it's like if you see a blank canvas and you're out there putting your work onto things, I think that's also art in a regard as well. So I would say don't sell yourself short in that regard, sir. But um, so how long have you been modding pocket knives versus like how long have you been collecting?
Well, I've carried a pocket knife since probably 1963, something like that. So I've carried a knife off and on for years. Well, on. There was very rarely an off. But I really never considered collecting them. It was just a tool to use, and to me, they wasn't a thing of beauty. They was a thing of function. And I think that's the way it used to be. And then as design language went forward and this, that, and the other, I think that, yeah, they've become an absolute thing of beauty. But as far as uh, modding, I've only been doing that for the last maybe 2 years.
Okay, right on. Very cool. Um, so going back into like pocket knives in general, right? Like when you said you've been carrying a pocket knife since about 1963, was there like a specific pocket knife that you can recall that like really got you sucked in, or was it more so just like growing up needing the tool?
It was growing up needing the tool, and I tend to gravitate toward uh, the Stockman series of knives. Uh, I've had probably four or five different of either the Stockman or the uh, medium Stockman has almost always ridden in my pocket. I've even got a small Stockman, but I found that the three blade option gave me a lot of uh, stuff. The sheep's foot, that was my hard work blade. Uh, the clip point was typically for whittling and things like that, and the spade blade was kept as a razor, and that was just what it was for. But yeah, that was kind of what I gravitated to mostly
Okay,
in my career.
very cool. Um, do you recall the first customization or the first mod you did and on what knife it was?
You know, honestly, Shay, I can't remember, um, because if it popped in my head, I did it. And I'll be honest with you, I can't even tell you who all I've or what knives I've sent out. I've sent so many out. I'm sorry, but no, I really I can't really think of. Yes, this is the one right here. So
Right.
I apologize, but I
Oh,
cannot.
no, no worries at all, no worries at all. Um
I grew up in the '60s, so you know, you know, there's a lot going on in the '60s.
Yeah,
Carries
absolutely.
over.
My mom was born in '65, so
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Um, so can you recall, like, what, got you started specifically on, your journey of, like, giving back to the knife community? Because, like, for those
A-
who don't know, you've definitely given out a significant amount of pocket knives for people to, do in their giveaways and promote their channel and help their channels grow. Um, so, like, what was it for you that got you started on that part of your journey?
Okay. I spent about 45 years as a pipe fitter,
Okay,
and 22 of those years I was an instructor for the pipe trades, plumbers and steam fitters,
okay.
and that was really the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And I gradually aged into retirement. I gave up my second class a week, and then finally I gave up the last class. And during that time, it was so rewarding to see a young person absolutely grow within the trade, and all of a sudden the light went on and they got it. And that was such a rewarding thing, and it was to see them grow. Was it. So when I gave that up, there was a very large void in my life, and I started following this young man, Carry and Cut. Great young man, had a young channel, and so I worked with him, and I found that seeing young knife channels grow was a lot like seeing apprentices grow
Very
and
cool.
and mature into it. And so that's what started me on it. And I've watched a lot of knife channels that I've been associated with or had the honor to work with uh, grow to be just absolutely fantastic channels. And I've still got 15 channels. At one time, I had 20 that I was helping to support. But now I'm at about 15. But when they get 1,000, 1,500 subs, by that time they're starting to ease into monetization. Then I grab another small one and start donating. And that's what I want to do. I want to see these young channels grow and mature and just knock MC off the map, you know?
Very cool. Very cool. No, that's very cool, very admirable. I think that's a really cool story for sure. Um, so in regards of when you are, like, sitting down um, to customize something or mod something, um What art would you say that, um what art would you say that creatively influences you the most? Like, are you a big movie guy, big music guy? Do you read a lot? What, like, outside art source do you think gives you the most inspiration towards, like, that you take with you into that side of it, would you say?
Well, I love music. I really love music. I love about every kind of music you can imagine. Uh, uh, and I also like a lot of movies. I like action films. If I happen to move into and a comedy's on, I may watch it. But typically, it's got to be blood and gore type thing. Not so much horror, but a lot of good action. But and I don't know how that ties in my head. Of course, there's a lot. I don't know about what goes on in my head, but I do love music, and uh, on my Spotify, I've got everything from big band era, opera, uh, 50s and 60s music, uh, everything in between. So
Very
music
cool.
has always been, yeah.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I'm a very big music buff myself. I love the same thing. I love opera. I got the pleasure of seeing Bocelli live. I'm a metalhead. I've played in some metal bands like old. I've seen ZZ Top live, Santana.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, all over the map. But same. I'm a big, big music fan myself. Um,
Rochelle rocks. Him and
yeah,
Sarah Brightman together absolutely is.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would argue that he's probably one of the greatest voices alive. He's definitely up there for sure. Um,
Excuse me. Yeah.
but so what would you say outside of pocket knives and EDC?
Mhm.
What are some of your biggest passions? Would you say?
Well, um, I like bushcrafting, uh, survival type
Very cool.
stuff, camping, of course. But uh, I've had like a 3 week hiatus uh, here recently. My cousin Frank, who he and I grew up more like brothers than cousins. I mean, we're just so tight. And he goes to these reenactments, Civil War reenactments,
Oh, very
and
cool.
he's a storekeep, is what he is. He's a
Mhm.
sutler, is what they called him back then, and he sells tinware and clothing and and things like that uh, to the public. And so he asked me if I would want to do it, and I found that I really enjoy it because it's you get out there and you dress up in the period stuff
Yeah, yeah. Very cool.
and it's fun. It's fun, and I spent 3 weeks with him and his lovely wife Laura, and stayed at their house, and we just had a great time. And but that's right up there with about everything. So
Very cool. Yeah, that's definitely that reminds me of my grandpa for sure. He always had some very cool Civil War pieces growing up. He had some Cavalier swords and I think a couple cutlasses hanging on the wall, a
yeah.
couple muskets, things
Sure.
like that. Um, but moving away from that question, if you could recall one piece of advice that you were given when you were younger that stuck with you over the years, um, what would that be?
Look, that's pretty easy one. The first time you meet an individual, you give them the utmost respect. But once you meet them, then you have to earn their respect, and they should have to earn yours every time thereafter. Respect is not a thing to be given lightly at all. And but I'm big on that. I'm big on respect, and uh, here again, like I say, it needs to be earned. First time is a courtesy, not
Right,
a problem.
absolutely.
But after that, you need to walk and act appropriately.
Absolutely. I think that's a very good piece of advice as well. Uh, so, kind of going backwards a little bit, if you were alone working on a shop project, just kind of like maybe hanging out, putting the finishing touches on something,
Mhm.
what would you be listening to? We kind of touched on how you like everything, but any current playlist you're listening to, any podcast you're listening to?
No, no podcast, but my iPod, and I still got an iPod, one of the old fashioned iPods.
Oh, very cool.
I used to take that on my motorcycle across the country. It was
Oh,
great to
heck yeah.
listen to music. Yeah, but it's here again. It's very eclectic. It's everything from themes from West Side Story to Dion and the Belmonts. Just everything. You just, it's all over the place. It really is. But that's what that's going in my shop almost constantly. is music.
Heck yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool. I'm also always listening to headphones at the office and everything, you know. I definitely feel like it's one of those things that can definitely totally lift your spirits, you know what I mean, and change the entire atmosphere of somewhere, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Um so what are some of your least favorite and some of your most favorite pocket knives to modify, and why would you say?
Least favorite would be anything that's high end, because high end makes me nervous. To
Okay.
deal with, especially if I'm custom. Now, if it's mine, I don't sweat it at all.
Right.
I don't sweat it at all. But if I'm doing a custom for somebody else, yeah, that I sweat that out pretty heavy. But uh, you know, I like working with a lot of different things. I've done everything from well, just about everything but MagnaCut. I haven't tried anything on MagnaCut or any of the super steels yet.
Okay.
Well, S 20 CV I have, and I sweat the whole time I was doing that. So, and S 35 VN, I did a custom for a guy with that, and uh, here again, it was what I consider was a grail knife, and I wound up getting one myself, which is a Cold Steel FM1,
Okay.
uh, and it did. I finally bought one about a month ago.
Okay.
So,
Very cool. Very cool.
but I like working with D2. It's easy to work with, but I'm all over the place. Most of the knives that I'm on, if it's not for somebody else, is budget knives, and if I can catch them on sale, that's what I do, because uh, if I was a rich man, that would be one thing. But
Oh,
what I do is not a good business model. I'm telling you, it's not a good business model,
yeah.
because the expense and the shipping and this, that, and the other. But it's something that I enjoy doing, so it's well worth it. It's right down to the fiber of my being. That's worth it. So.
Absolutely. Very cool. That's very cool. Um, so when you're working on something and you're feeling kind of stuck or you're feeling frustrated, um, what's something that you do to either like work through that or get over that frustration kind of?
Walk away.
Very cool.
I walk away. Being retired, I've got all day to do this, and there's not really any pressure. There is. Sometimes there's pressure. If I let my inventory get down, and I know that some guys have got some giveaways coming up, then I feel pressured. And then oh my gosh, I got to crank something out. I got to crank something out. But typically it's pretty laid back. I've got two knives that are um, they are my nemesis, and that's the Corgi.
Okay.
Uh,
The Vosky
yeah,
Corgi.
yeah, the Vashi Corgi.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and the Artisan Home,
Okay.
and both of those have absolutely kicked my rear end all over my shop, and left me to the point of wanting to drink and this, that, and the other. But yeah, those are the ones that really frustrate me.
Okay.
And but everything else, I just work through it. I learned a long time ago. Photograph, photograph, photograph. Everything you do. When you start breaking one down, I take pictures. I take pictures all the way through the breakdown. But the Corgi, there's some little tiny pieces in there that, unless you got a micrometer, you can't tell one side from the other until you get it
Oh.
all together, and it won't work.
And then you got to
And
flip
then you
it.
got to take it apart, and it's just, oh, it just drives you nuts.
Oh boy.
So I've got to where now, as I'm taking it apart, I'll kind of color code them with some fingernail polish.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, that's the way I keep my sanity.
Hey, yeah, whatever works. I mean, I assume
That's it.
that, you know, the tips and tricks are the things that keep you from going mad, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Um, so moving in a little different direction, what would you say are three crucial tools that you can't live without for when it comes to customizing something, when it comes to like customizing a piece, whether it be blade steel or handle scales? What are three pieces of, or three tools, or three pieces of gear that are you find vital to what you're doing?
Well, other than the tools to break them down, which is my bit drivers and just normal breakdown stuff. That's is that you're not asking about that stuff, are you? The normal tools like
You could
bit
count that
drivers.
as one. Something you could count that as one,
Okay,
sure.
okay, yeah, my tools. Um, After that, Goodwill. Goodwill. I got to tell you. Uh, Hang on just a second, and let me see if I can do this. There's my dyeing stuff right there, and there's my dyes. But Goodwill purchases.
Ah, very cool.
These bags down here,
Very
Goodwill
smart.
purchases. Yeah. And then my hot plate, Goodwill purchases. So Goodwill is probably my best single tool.
Hey,
And as
that's a
far
good
as
call.
mod goes. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, and that's something people might not think about either, you know?
Well, it's cheap, and if you mess something up, you can get rid of it. But I mean, these things cost $1.99, $2, and they last forever because you're not eating out of them. So
Right. Very cool. So, going on a little more on the abstract side of things, um,
okay.
so if you could collaborate or work with anybody in all of history, who would you choose in any capacity, whether it was to customize a knife or just build something? Um, who would you choose to work with? Whether it be somebody you're a big fan of or just somebody you think you could make something cool with, uh, anybody through human history that you could pull out of space and time for a mystery project or something like that.
That's a difficult one. I've got people that I really would love to have met and worked with, but most of them are probably not on a legal standpoint. They're, but as far as a human to do that, I don't know. Just I guess just the normal things, but Ray Laconico
Very cool.
is
Excuse me.
his clean. They're clean designs. They're good, solid pieces of work. Laconico or uh, you know Bob Lovelace. He's just a master at what he does, and of course Ken Onion. There's so many that out there on the legal side. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of moves me into this other question I kind of wanted to ask you, which was, would you say you have a Mount Rushmore of some of your favorite designers or knife makers? And maybe you had just touched on a few of them right there, but
I did Laconico. I find his designs very good, but I got to tell you, there's so many out there.
there is,
Uh,
and it's
and for me, it's clean. It's clean lines. But I don't but that's for me. For
absolutely.
others, they might like the places to put their fingers for their fingers to rest. But me, I got small hands, and so clean lines work for me. And that finger there is so screwed up that that's the reason that I do away with flippers on a lot of my knives. A lot of people love them. They just don't work with that finger very well.
Oh
But
yeah, and this is one thing I always talk about as well. It's like going back to the ancient saying, I guess, right? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So, like, art is subjective at the end of the day, right? So, like, what I find to be the most beautiful painting, you might think is not very beautiful, and vice versa, right? And that's okay, and that's totally cool, and that's what makes these things so awesome and so fun to talk about, right? Because we all have such different, unique standpoints, viewpoints. That's why I think that doing this is so much fun because you get to see people's perspectives, and it's like that's seeing a different perspective on something could be the thing that totally changes your viewpoint, and I think that's really cool.
Well, you hit on something that's very near and dear to me. Um, that is when somebody starts in on somebody else's. Well, that's no good, and this, that, and the other. I tend to really that kind of turns me off because case in point, case in point, this knife right here, it's a Chinese knife. It's You've seen these forever.
Oh yeah, I
They're
got
out and around.
got a few of them
But you
from
know
my
what?
grandpa.
At the very end of the day, probably 90% of the people that collect knives and have knives could actually just function and live very well, which is something like this. Because not everybody uses their knives hard. I used to, but I don't anymore. But some people do, some people don't. A lot of factories anymore, they want you to have either the retractable knives or yeah, those that automatically the blade jumps back in if you're using them a lot. But somebody can only afford this. Don't when people say, "Well, that's junk" or whatever, that really bothers me because that same person, that could mean a lot to them, and that may have been given to them by somebody very special, like their grandpa, like that little coin knife of yours.
Very true.
Here again, is that going to skin an elk? No,
Right.
but it's very special to you, and and
Absolutely.
and I think that's where some don't really consider others' feelings too. Spyderco, Benchmades, all these McNeese, all these knives. Everybody has something that they like, and if you don't really like on something, uh, maybe somebody's listening that you're going to hurt their feelings. And
No, absolutely.
if it's a faulty knife, the one thing about Big Red, uh, I really appreciate he's saying. He says, I've got a what is it? Uh, Something other about one. Just he's just got the one out of the whole run, and maybe that one is the only one that has a problem. It could be
Right.
that the rest of them operate just fine.
Yeah.
Uh, and but yeah, so I'm glad you hit on that, my friend, because that matters to me.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And then at the end of the day, it's like, you never set out to it's not about putting anyone down, it's just like you want to make sure that in some cases it's like you would rather make sure that somebody spends that $29 on something that'll last them for 5, 10 years as opposed to something that's gonna break.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. No, absolutely. And they need to hear that, and to be able to make a judgment call for the best way to spend their money. And
absolutely.
so if it's gonna break, then they need to hear it. Uh, but if a guy comes on your and says, "Hey, I've got this knife. That's a great knife. I love that knife," and that's uh, so that I don't like hurting people's feelings, I
Oh
guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, so how would you say, like, over time from, when you first started just working on knives versus now? I know you said you've only been doing it for a few years now. How would you say your, like, process in that has evolved over time?
I've got it pretty streamlined. Uh, I really do. When I first get a knife in, typically I'll look at it for a day or two, unless I've worked with that model before, like QSP Penguins. Uh, uh, every once in a while, I'll step back and look at them, but I've worked with a lot of those. But my first thing to do is I break them. I break them down uh, because I need to know. Uh, I need to know all the screws before I start disassembly. I get in there and I really, and if something gets me fits, I learned a long time ago, put the heat to it. I've got a little soldering iron, it's got a real tiny little tip. Put the heat to it. Don't strip that thing out, because I've had to drill out some T6s.
Oh,
And if you can heat them up till you feel it heat on the other side, 10 times, 9 times out of 10, they'll break really easy. Once I get them all broke loose, then I put them back in the thing. As soon as I get them, I break them all down, not to the components, but just break everything loose.
very cool.
And but yeah, that I've got, I'm pretty streamlined on that. I usually work on 4 at a time.
Okay.
I got little parts boxes like this right here, and when I break them down, I'll wrap the blade separate, and I'll always have the pocket clip and its associated screws. But here again, I pay a great deal of attention, because some knives decide to use 15 different sizes screws
Right.
on things, and so you got to really pay attention. And that's, like I say, I photograph it, but
Very handy. Very handy tool to photograph it, I think, for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so would you say that you have a few that you've done, that have overall been, like, your favorite?
yeah, yeah. Uh, those would be mine. Those would be my bug outs.
Okay.
At one time, I had 15 535s, and I'm down to, I think, 9 now. And but the they're like my GI Joes. I can
Very
dress
cool.
them up however I want. The male Barbie, I guess. Yeah, I can
Right.
I can dress them up however I want. And but they're by far my favorite platform, and they give me a lot of joy.
Very cool. Very cool, and a great knife, absolutely, like, there's a reason that they're one of the best-selling EDC knives, for sure. Um, so, do you have, some personal favorite content creators of yours, whether it's the knife side of things or whether it's outside of the knife things, like maybe cars or home repair or things of that nature that you're into in YouTube outside of the knife world?
Outside, it'd be Dave Canterbury.
Okay,
Yeah. Here again, I'm about bushcrafting and about survival, being in the woods, things like that. So yeah, Dave Canterbury would be right up there with the best of them.
okay,
If I'm not watching a knife channel, and I don't have a lot of time to do that, but if I'm not watching a knife channel, it's Canterbury,
very cool.
and I've watched him for years.
So, how would you say, uh, YouTube and social media, has helped you grow?
Well, for one thing, here again, what I do is not magic. Most of what I've done, I've taken. Oh, I saw this on a YouTube, on a knife channel somewhere, and okay, now what can I do with that? How can I make that something that I can use and give away? And so yeah, there's been a lot of channels that I've gleaned things off of that away, and but yeah.
Very cool. Can you recall the first person you ever gave a knife to give away? Racking your brain maybe a little bit with that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The smoke's going to start rolling here in a little while. I can tell you the first person that I loaned knives uh, to help their channel grow, and that was Carry and Cut.
Okay, very cool.
And uh, but I cannot remember the first one that I actually, and it may have been Mark, but I can't honestly remember. And like I say, I couldn't even begin to tell you how many I've modded and given away. And uh, well, every once in a while, I'll contact one of my guys. Hey, do I owe you a knife? No, you gave me one a month ago. Okay, well, I forgot. You know, so I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was also gonna ask if you had an idea of around the total amount that you've worked on, but that's probably like I've seen a lot of people review a lot of your knives and then also a lot of giveaways. I myself have won one and now I have the chance to give one away myself. So I see you out there doing a lot of work. So I would imagine that the overall number would probably be quite daunting.
It is. It really is. At one time, I had a stack of shipping, just the tickets for shipping that was about yay thick. And but like I said, I buy budget knives. I catch them on sale, uh, and I get them, and a lot of times, well, like right here, I've got about 20 racked up, ready to go right now that could go out. And then this group back here has yet to be modded, but these are all ready to go out. And I've got a couple down here. This one's not going out. That's a buddy of mine. I sharpened for him.
Very
But
cool.
uh, but yeah, yeah, I really couldn't even begin to tell you. Uh, I buy them usually anywhere. I would say I would say 10, 15 a month, something like that.
Very cool. That's quite a bit of knives right there.
That is, yeah.
Um, so going back to the art side of things,
Uh-huh.
how would you say that art has influenced your designs, like maybe color, design, ideas, things like of that nature?
Um, well, like I said, I'm not even begin to call myself an artist. I wouldn't even do that. Uh, but when I see things, there's a little artist that I can't remember his name right now, but he paint or he has like a young boy, and it's a picture frame, and the boy may have a baseball bat like he swung it, then he'll break the glass on the picture frame.
Ah, very
And
cool.
all and this looks like the boy hit the baseball, hit that.
Yeah,
Or
very cool.
he'll have a picture frame here with a boy in this one, and then over here there'll be a girl over here, and there'll be a tug of war, and there'll be a string run between the two photographs.
Very cool.
And I mean, just things like that. You think out of the box, and that's kind of inspiring too.
Very much
It
so.
really is.
Very much so. And I actually I know the exact works you're speaking of. Those are very, very cool pieces of art. Very
They
cool.
truly are.
And
I
I
mean,
love
like
how they
dripping
break
the
out of the
paint.
frame and it's like 3D meets 2D. It's
Yeah,
very, very cool.
yeah, it is very cool.
So, how do you can you recall how you felt when you got to like see somebody win one of the knives you gave away for the first time? Like, can you recall how that made you feel?
Well, it made me feel very, very good, but it also kind of this whole thing kind of shocks me. It really does because I'm not very talented, and how everybody wants to win a Jimmy Crow knife, I don't know because they're budget knives, and they're nothing really special. And I guess I'm kind of still in awe about why would anybody want one? but and I'm very grateful that they do. Believe me, I am, because uh, it makes me feel like maybe I am doing some good, or touching somebody anyway.
Very cool.
So
Very cool. So, um, can you recall like when you started um doing this, like in the regards of like modding knives and like giving them to channels to help them grow and stuff? Can you recall like a specific moment that made you feel like, ah, yeah, like I'm definitely heading in the right direction. I like this. I like what I'm doing on this side of it. Like you said, you had retired, right? So, um,
uh-huh.
can you recall like a moment when after retiring and doing this, when it was like, ah, yes, this is what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing?
Well, yeah, I kind of do remember that, because uh, one of the early channels that I started following was Titanium Justin, and I said road trip. So I took a road trip over and met with him in Iowa AK, and had a great time. And it was good to hear his feedback on how much he appreciated it. And of course, now he's got a great channel, and he's got a lot of content. He's a heck of a human being.
Absolutely.
Uh, and Blade Walker, a dear friend. Um, talked to him this morning, actually. But when I got down and actually physically met him, that kind of reinforced it too. That, maybe I am making a difference, and I hope so. Uh, but it makes me feel good inside, and I hope it makes others feel good.
Absolutely, and I think it's a very noble thing to do as well, right? It's like, you know, it's not like one of those things where, you're out here doing this for the recognition. You're not out here doing this
Mhm.
for people to be like, "Oh, he's the greatest." But it's just like you're doing this for yourself, and you're doing this because you enjoy it, and you're doing this for the kindness of your heart, right? And I think that that is such a noble thing. I think there's not a lot of people like this in the world, sir, and I think it's a dying breed. And me as well, I appreciate you very much and the things you've done. Even sending us knives to give away, it's just a very noble thing of you to do for guys that are trying just to grow their channel. Um, but going back to like the advice side of things, I wanted to ask, do you maybe have like one piece of advice that you would give your 17-year-old self, knowing what you know now?
Don't do most of the stuff you did before he was 21. That would be, uh, yeah. I had a history. Uh, 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 yeah, I had a history. I was just been very, very lucky, that uh, I got by with some of the things I got by with. So yeah, this don't do the stupid stuff you did early on. My 17-year-old self was a bad guy.
Hey, I mean, I definitely, speaking on when we were younger, right? Like I definitely was not always the best man that I am now. It took me a long time to grow into the guy I am now. It took me a long time to love myself. It took me a long time to love others properly. But I think
Absolutely,
it's just in the pursuit of bettering yourself, right? You learn all these things. But
absolutely.
but I also wanted to ask. So, what are maybe your top three most carried pocket knives? And then what are maybe your most three top carried EDC items that are not pocket knives?
Well, that's kind of hard to do. Uh, Flashlight
Okay.
every day. I all right. I've got I wear bib overalls constantly. Okay,
Okay.
so I got bib overalls that I'll wear if I'm out wandering underneath the truck. I've got bib overalls like if I'm in a shop. That's these right here. Then I got my dress bib overalls, and I'm probably the most boring individual in the world because all of them have this, which is a larger Swiss Army knife, a small Swiss Army knife, a flashlight, and a pill bottle for some aspirins and this, that, and the other. And then typically uh, a knife that corresponds with that. If I may, one of my bug outs.
Excuse me. Very
One of my
cool.
bug outs is in my dress pockets all the time.
Very cool. I'm a fan of the red and black. That red and black one's very cool.
That right there, the same knife, the same boy that I'm sharpening this for, he was one of my students, and he grew up. He's an instructor now, and still is an instructor. And he said, "Hey, I got a bug out. Would you be interested in it?" No, I'm not interested in anything like that because for years this is what I carried. Now I've anodized the titanium, but it's a Kershaw TI-ATS 34. I carried this knife right here for probably 20 years.
Designed by Ken Onion or no?
I believe it is an onion.
Okay.
I believe it is. But yeah, this has been out of production for a long time. But I've carried that for like 20 years.
Very cool.
And
Very, very cool.
and and he said, "Well, no, I'm not interested." Well, I don't know. A few months later, then he come back again, and I said, "All right, I'll buy it." So I bought it from him, and that's this blade right here. Of course, it's not. It was the original black Grivory and this, that, and the other, and blacked out. But this is the one that started me on my bug out craze. Now,
Very cool.
I,
Very, very
I
cool.
am I am not a snob, but anyway, that those bug out will go in my dress pants.
Absolutely.
Then uh, every once in a while, I'll throw in a Spyderco.
Okay.
This is my new one. I just got it today. It's the Tenacious in M4.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Tegan would approve.
Pardon?
My buddy Tegan would approve. The guy I
Yeah,
do the lives with.
yeah, yeah. Well, I like this series of Spydercos because I like to have the blade that comes all the way down to the handle,
Very cool.
and that's because to me that's where you get your power, and that's the way I use the knife mostly is that a way.
Okay.
And so, but anyway, those go in on occasion, like a couple days a week. I'll trade out and not carry a bug out. I may carry an Asher, and Ashers.
Ooh, very cool. I've never yet to experience an Asher. That's one that's on my list.
Yeah, if I'd have handled an Asher before a bug out, I probably would have had nothing but Ashers.
Ooh, very cool.
Uh, wow, how about that? That was my first Asher.
Very pretty. I like that blue.
Yeah, that's just absolutely gorgeous.
Did you do that blue or did
But
it come that way?
no, that right there is the carbon fiber that they run with.
That's
They
very
got
pretty.
this one and a silver one. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Now I do run a lot of blue knives,
Very cool.
and there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Um, Blue is the least common color in nature. You know,
Okay.
you'll find your turquoise and this, that, and there's some blue things out there, but because it's the least common, you can find one. If you drop it,
Ah,
you'll be able to see it a lot easier.
very cool.
But then I carry now in my bibs like to these bibs here. I'll carry a penguin,
Ah, yes. Great, great,
but this
great name.
this one's modified. I neutered it, so it
Okay.
don't have a flipper. and then I Warncliffe the blade rather than the regular penguin blade.
Very cool.
I Warncliffe that one, but I've got other penguins.
How do you like the glide lock?
I like that. I really like that. It's got great action. Uh, yeah, it just functions so well. I do like it.
I'm a huge fan of the QSP Penguin. I'm always saying that, in my opinion, it's probably the greatest budget knife of all time, and I think that they did an absolute phenomenal job with it, whether it's the liner lock, whether it's the button lock, whether it's the titanium, whether it's the brass, whether it's the copper, whether it's
Yep.
D2, whether it's what's that one, S35. I think it's one of the all-time best knife profiles. It's up there for sure.
It really truly is because it wears so many different coats and it wears it so well.
Absolutely.
It's a great size. There is one thing though, if you're in a state that's a little bit on the 3 inch, you can't have a 3 inch knife. If they had took the penguin and made it just a touch shorter, it
Okay.
would have fell under in some of those states.
Ah,
So, but uh, but for me, I mean, anything from a 7 to a 7.5 inch knife is perfect to me. I like a 3 1/4 inch blade. Uh, they just that's kind of my sweet spot right there.
very cool. Yeah, I very much like to switch it up. I find myself lately, um I purchased this off the secondary, my first Benchmade, the Adira.
Uh huh.
I like it a lot. Very great action. I like that what do you call the handle material, that gry
The Grivory.
the Grivory, thank you. Yeah, thank you, the
Yeah.
Grivory. I like that quite a bit. And then I've been carrying um my Rosecraft Warney, the French Broadjack.
I gotta tell you, I love that knife. That right there is a cool one. And my Rosecraft,
Oh, Barlow, I love that. That's a
yeah,
great. I love that blue. They do those blues so pretty.
they do. And but yeah, I feel just as comfortable. I see people do the spine whack and this and the other because they're afraid it'll close up on. Well, growing up with these, you learn pretty quick which is the sharp side and which is not the sharp side, what you can poke with it, what you can cut with it, what you can't do, because it'll tell you pretty rapidly.
Right,
And so, yeah. Uh, but yeah, so I'm not big on the spine wax, but I want a lock that works. I mean, it's
right,
like you asked the other day about in your live about what deployment method. I like any of them that work,
right. Hey,
and
that's
same
a
way with
great answer.
lockup.
That's a
Yeah,
great
if
answer.
and if they lock up, they lock up, and that locks up. It's just a different style of lock. You
Right,
know.
absolutely. And that goes back to what we were touching on earlier with the whole beauty is in the eye of the beholder, art is subjective thing,
Yes.
right? And then
Yes.
a lot of that I find also goes back to ergonomics, right? So like
Yeah.
we're all different size people with different size hands, different size fingers. What feels comfy for me in my hand might not feel comfy for you in your hand, and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, so I wanted to one other question I had for you is was there anything about yourself maybe that you wish more people knew about you? Because as I was kind of saying earlier, right? You're definitely your name gets brought up so much, right? People are always doing giveaways and giving away knives you modded for them, which is always so awesome to see. And was there anything maybe that people don't know about Mr. Jimmy Crow that you would like them to? Anything specific?
Yeah, there is. Everybody's got a past, but that don't necessarily define your future. And you can change, and I have. Uh, growing up, I had a very violent temper, violent tendencies, and I'm a short guy, so I had the short man syndrome. I had to fight everybody. It was my size or bigger. I never fought anybody smaller because I was always afraid that'd be embarrassing to get whipped by somebody littler. But so yeah, you can change, and and so yeah, yeah. Don't let your past define you. Everybody's got one. Okay, so yeah, that's.
I think that's
I guess
very,
that.
very wise words, I would say, for sure. Um, no, as somebody who, I had great parents growing up, absolutely, but, circumstances led me to extremely unfortunate events in my childhood, and, sometimes you don't realize how those things can affect you until you are lost in a downward spiral, right? And it's not necessarily like, like you were saying, you know, anybody can change and you can always find yourself and, strive for better and learn and grow.
Mhm,
And just
mhm.
because you made a mistake last Tuesday doesn't mean that next Tuesday is still going to be bad.
Yep,
As long
that's
as
true.
as long as you wake up, you got to keep fighting, keep pushing forward, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. If well, that's one thing that I used to tell my students, because our industry changes so quickly, just like the knife industry. And if you don't move forward, you stagnate and die.
Absolutely.
And so you have to keep moving forward. You have to keep looking at new technology, new innovations, and this, that, and the other. Uh, just in a knife where we're in a golden age of knives. Uh, shoot, it, uh, 10 years ago, uh, some of these knives that now are budget knives would have been premium knives like the Penguin and this, that, and the other. 10, 15 years ago, they'd have been, oh my gosh, can you believe, look at that action on that thing, and the materials. And uh, here again, I don't get hung up I'm not a steel snob at all. HCR, if it's done properly, and Spyderco does a marvelous HCR. Some of my sharpest knives are Spyderco HCRs. So,
I got my first Sen cut last week and it was in 8CR 18 MOV.
uh-huh.
And I've never experienced that steel before, but I was very impressed at how sharp it was out of the box, and it was
Hmm.
very, very good so far.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, here again, there was a guy I saw the other day, and I can't remember what it was on. Oh yeah, it was on a workshop uh, video, and he said his dad wouldn't give him a knife until he learned how to sharpen a knife.
I've heard that.
And yeah, that's cool. You got to teach them to use the darn things and to maintain them, and they'll
Absolutely.
last a lifetime.
Yes,
You know.
maintenance is definitely a thing that is sometimes gets overlooked, you know what I mean? And it's something that is so important. And I myself, I'm guilty of not always being the best with it for sure, but um
Well,
when
but
you
you're
are,
young, but you're young, and you use your knives on a daily basis, don't you?
I do
At
quite,
work.
yeah, quite a bit.
Okay. Well, see, and here again, you use your knife a lot. I don't anymore. I did in the past, but anymore I don't. And so for you, uh, you can't just keep them in pristine condition,
Right.
like I kind of can, because you got to use the darn thing. And a good, well worn knife, that's got character.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's good when you can carry it for so long, use it for so long, and it still holds up, it's still fire strong, still has a decent edge. You can sharpen it up, reprofile it. Uh
Yep.
it's very
Well,
cool.
the old hickory butcher knives. They've been around since the 1890s. And my mother-in-law, before she died, a few years before she passed, she gave me an old hickory butcher knife that was given to her as a wedding present when they got married in 1953. That knife today, I knocked the scales off of it and put new scales on it, and made it a little more sterile. But that's got just that'll last another 100 years. It very easily, because it's got good steel, and if you take care of them. And but it's going to show some wear. It's going to show, different parts. But you know, here again, your knife, if you take care of it, it'll take care of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, again, I really, really appreciate you sitting down with me. It's been a lot of fun talking to you. Um, I just really wanted to sit down with you and ask you some questions, and more so put a face to the guy who's always helping people grow their channels and helping do giveaways. I think that what you do is very noble, sir. And again, I can't thank you enough, especially for giving me this opportunity to give back as well, because I think that giving back to the community is very important, especially when you're trying to grow as well.
Mhm.
So I wanted to show this one that you gave me for the
Oh,
250 sub giveaway
yeah.
that we're gonna go
That
ahead and give away at 250 subs.
those that got the what I call lost and found scales on the stainless. Those are stainless, and I did a procedure that it made them look like they've been lost and then been found.
Yeah, very cool. It gives me very much so like shipwreck-ish vibes, kinda.
That's what I was going for,
Very cool.
and it's easy to do. And I've done it by accident, actually. The first ones I did,
Hey,
but it's very easy to do.
that's how some of the coolest stuff gets found out, isn't it? By accident,
It is. It really is.
That's a cool story.
Yep. But all I did was, when you're doing an acid etch, or like on the titanium to get the lightning strikes,
Oh yeah, very, very
you,
cool.
you heat it up. Then while it's like a bronze color, you dip it in your ferric chloride. Well, I was messing around one day, and I thought, well, I'm going to heat these stainless steel scales up and put them into ferric chloride, and that's where I come up with that lost and found look.
Ah, very cool.
And so yeah, but here again, it's by accident, but that's okay.
Right.
That's okay. And here again, I want people, and I've been getting a lot of feedback from a lot of different guys that are trying different things and trying to do different annotations and customizing, and I think it's fantastic. I'd be thrilled if somebody put me out of business. It really would, because there's a whole world out there to do.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I started out making fixed blades years ago, and I enjoyed that, but I've been really enjoying pocket knives lately.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I really appreciate you sitting with me, and I appreciate you chatting with me. Uh, thank you everybody for tuning in and watching. Make sure to go follow Mr. Jimmy Crow on Instagram and YouTube and everything. I'm gonna link you in the description for everybody, so they can go check you out as well. Go check out
Okay.
some of your work.
Okay.
And Jimmy,
Thank
thank
you
you
for
so very
having me.
much. Oh,
Thank you for having me.
the pleasure was mine indeed, sir.
All right.
I appreciate you.
Take care now.
You
Bye
as
bye.
well.